Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. For those who are not used to the program, this is an initiative where we try to bring personality from all around the world, from national, from the region, to come to share with us some of their experience, some of their know-how, their knowledge, their point of view on matter that in the world is happening in the world, in the region, but that also may have an impact with Cambodia. So in this perspective, we hope that we can extract the lesson learned from this vast experience and try to see how we can apply into the Cambodian context for the purpose of developing our economy here. Today we have the pleasure to have a Cambodian national who are well known in the academic world, in the poverty sector, in the agricultural sector, Mr. Sophal. He is the president of the Cambodian Economic Association, called shortly CEA. And we have the pleasure to welcome him today on a topic that is very dear to him, which is agriculture and poverty reduction. Sophal, welcome to the show. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, before we go on to our discussion, perhaps, Paul, you may want to say a bit about your background, so that the audience know a bit. Yeah.
So, hello again. I have the honor to participate in this program. I'm basically an agricultural economist. I will provide my personal views and perspectives here, drawn from my experience working for various organizations, including 4 years with government at an agricultural college, and with a long time, more than 10 years with CDI, a local leading research institute. I have also had the opportunity to benefit from working for the donors, including UN and the World Bank, and also lately for the private sector, Leopard Capital. But here I would like to draw my knowledge, views, perspectives, and experiences from my nearly 20 years of working experience and studies. So I have the honor to share.
Yes. Thank you, Sophal. I think as president of the Cambodian Economic Association, you must have the pleasure to work with a lot of Cambodian professionals. How big is your association?
We have about 100 people now. We have joined the Cambodian Economic Association, which was founded in 2003, and we have grown since then.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. Now moving back to the main theme of our discussion. Since we're talking about agriculture, for me, agriculture is tantamount to poverty. Because Cambodia has emerged from 3 decades of instability. 93, we have the peace process. It's more a phase of reconstruction, rehabilitation. And it's only in recent years that you see Cambodia comfortably moving a position where we have agriculture surplus, to the point that we even are in position to export agriculture commodity like rice, like cassava, or corn, something like this. In your views, the potential in developing the agriculture sector for the purpose of reducing poverty and building economic development, which is quite dear to the royal government in Cambodia, in the Cambodian context, what do you think of that sector? Generally?
I think Cambodia has a big potential in reducing poverty and developing the economy based on the agriculture sector. We cannot ignore the history of Cambodia, especially the recent devastation by the Khmer Rouge. And now, for the past 2-3 decades, we have been developing impressively. Yet, our rural sector still has a lot of potential to be tapped. Given the low technology, low inputs applied by farmers, and the heavy dependence of our rural people on land, on crops, we still haven't reached the full potential of the sector yet. In fact, we still have a lot of free land, a lot of labor that can be better utilized, and with more inputs, with better farming techniques and good marketing, I'm very hopeful that we can do a lot more in the sector.
Rice for sure is a primary commodity, the biggest production that we have, but what are the other crops that you think have as much potential, if not comparatively with the rice sector?
Aside from rice, I can see that we have a few other crops which are now becoming very major, such as rubber. We have seen that we have experienced big demand from the region for rubber. And with CDI, I led a project participated by research institutes from Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, and China.
Yeah.
And we look into rubber and cassava because these crops have the regional dimension. And we found that China bought almost everything in terms of rubber and cassava because they need these crops, these products to process and supply to the world markets. For example, rubber, China produces a lot of car tires,
Yes.
and they export about half. But even within their giant economy, they need a lot of rubber to,
Yes, yes.
to meet the demand for new cars, thousands of cars added to the roads of
Yes, yes.
Beijing, of
Yeah, yeah.
China every day. So this is why we have been benefiting from the sharp increase in the price of rubber.
Yeah, we're
And
talking about $4,000 now per metric
Yes,
ton. No?
nearly 5,000
Nearly
in,
five
in the
now.
regional market.
My God.
$5,000 per
Yes.
ton. This is a record
Yes.
increase. But also similarly, cassava
Yes.
is demanded by China. The whole region, Thailand and Vietnam, Indonesia, are all supplying cassava to China. And we have been increasing this crop
Yes.
dramatically.
Yeah.
But it's exported through our neighboring countries,
yes,
namely Vietnam and Thailand, to China.
Corn.
Corn also is promising, and it has lifted thousands of people out of poverty, from especially those who have been at the areas near the Thai border. There's good access to the market in Thailand, but also now corn is exported to other countries.
Sophal, you touch on production.
Yes.
And I sort of stress a bit more on my side on the market access side, the export side. But Cambodia is the least developed country. We are so dependent up to now on foreign direct assistance or foreign direct investment, for that matter, private sector and ODA. It's a lot of actors that I know are in the agricultural sector: Australia, US, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, UN. Everybody's there. What is your view on the coordination issue?
Yes. I have experience participating in evaluation on donor projects, NGO projects, and I have learned something there. In short, we can see that there's still a lot of room for better coordination between major development partners, between government, and also between NGOs and government. I mean, there are basically 4 actors that are working on developing the agricultural sector. We have government, we have development partners, we have NGOs, and we have the private sector. We have seen good communication between government and private sector under the government-private sector forum and the 8 working groups. But these forums and working groups, to my understanding, do not yet have participation by the other actors. It's the development partners and the NGOs. So there's a lack, I see, of communication between development partners and the private sector, while development partners have also mechanisms to communicate, to coordinate with with government circles, namely the annual Cambodian Development Forum, and then the technical working groups, 18, 19 technical working groups. But there's a mislink between development partners and private sector. That's one thing. And the other thing I have noticed is there's still a gap in understanding the reality between local practitioners or national officials, national professionals, and expatriate experts or foreign staff. Sometimes it relates to the culture or it relates to the ways of doing business in the country. I have seen the tension all the time that some international staff tend to impose some foreign concepts, philosophies, ideologies, which may not yet be very relevant for the local needs. But at the same time, the local people have yet to understand the philosophies behind, and the concepts behind, and they try to stick to the same ways of doing business. I think the two sides should move towards each other more, understanding each other more, in order to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of ODA projects.
Sophal, I think, to me, in the 20 years that since the Paris Peace Accord and everything, I see tremendous progress in the country, particularly in the context of human resource development. I mean, you are a prime example. You're here, sharing with us your experience. To me, success in all that depends on national ownership. And it's very important that we, take control of our own destiny, and in particularly in areas that are so micro, agriculture, poverty, in Kampong Cham, in Mondogiri, Ranakiri, it's so far away from New York, so far away from Washington. So in that sense, I think the role of the Cambodian national is very important to ensure maximization, the efficiency, or the value addition. So I concur with you very, very much on this point. But I want to touch a bit on the issue of human resource again. You see, as the Cambodia modernized, as Cambodia moved to semi-industrialization with the garment industry, the shoes factory, everything, you see a lot of migration from rural area to Phnom Penh. I was in Karivung, months ago, and I noticed a lot of paddy in harvest already, but in the field wet. So I asked people, I say, why you're not removing the paddy? It's all getting wet. And some of the people say, look, my kids are all in Phnom Penh. So these are the issue of that I think could face Cambodia also in terms of labor mobility. How do you see this? Of course, if we are to push for agricultural production, you need labor. But if labor are not tempted, are more tempted to come to the city, how are you going to solve the issue?
I think this is a very big question, and it's not easy to resolve it. It relates to many factors. For one reason, the labor has to come to Phnom Penh to find a full-year job opportunity or employment. At home, they may be busy for 1 month, 2 months during the harvest or during the transplanting period. And then there's nothing else much to do. So this is a problem now. I have seen the lack of development in the rural sector. We see that if there is more water, then farmers can do more than one crop a year. And then maybe they can also expand the production. And if there's accessible credit, they can access more inputs, more affordable credit, and can allow them to to access good fertilizers,
Yeah.
good farming practices. So that can lead to better yield and better income. So
Yes.
they can move up. They don't have to go somewhere to meet their basic needs. So I've seen the potential in all, the whole value chain, from production to processing and to exports. I have confidence that farmers can do have the capacity to improve production, but to export, to process and export, it requires different capacity,
Yes.
a better level
Yes.
of capacity, like to export to Europe
Yes.
markets. It needs some sophisticated knowledge to do
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
and that is not
You
easy.
mentioned farmer, you mentioned production. I concur. Certain plantation are more the concession, the big one, but I think in many economy around the world, it's not the big one that really drive the economy. It's more the small enterprise, the SME. In the case of agriculture, it would be more the national, the local, farmer organizing into contract farming, into producer association. Do you see their importance in this whole thing, rather than too much concentrating on large plantation? Of course, certain crop require plantation, as rubber, for example, but other crop like cassava does not have to be as in the form plantation. So national smallholder is very critical. You
Yes,
agree?
I agree. And there are other studies like done by the World Bank and other credible institutes
Yeah.
that have shown small farms are more efficient than big farms. Even for rubber, now we have seen successful families having 1 hectare, 2 hectares of rubber, and they can take care of this small farm every day. And so they can get out more from the small unit of land.
Yes.
If you compare to big plantations,
Yes.
it's a different practice,
Yeah.
and management tend to be not so effective. So we can get less out of 1 hectare of land.
Yes.
That is in terms of efficiency. But then when we talk about non-efficiency objectives, such as national income promotion for farmers, it's the distribution of the benefits from the land.
Yes. Yes.
If we compare small farms, say 10,000 hectares can lift 5,000 of households out of poverty. But if we grant it as an economic concession to one company, we have seen that some companies use machinery and they don't use much labor, and then they export, they make income, it's their profit. Yes, there's some trickle down. Some people can become workers, unskilled workers, but because there are so many unskilled workers, the wage rate is very low.
Yes.
It's not poverty reducing rate. So people, yes, they can have some income and they can meet their food consumption, but I doubt if they can climb up of the ladder
of poverty. So your point is that yes, concession is good. In certain crop is all right, rubber is all right, but in other crop it's better to push for more locals to develop their producing capacity, their trade capacity, their management capacity, so that in due time, one of the main benefit would be empowering them to become self-sufficient, through marketing, through production, through whatever. So I hear your message. I cannot help but to stress one point that we have not touched so far, which is the role of the private sector. Let's face it, Cambodia is a widely open economy. Foreign direct investment is all over the place. Our private sector is bustling. But in the area of agricultural development, do you see their role as prominent as it should be? Or is it mainly driven by foreign direct investment?
We have seen the world now is caring more about sufficient food for the increasing population. So some investors speculate that there would be high prices again for farmers to produce food, but also for consumers to get enough food. So there's more interest in Cambodia to invest in the agriculture sector. I have seen they have a role to help lift the agriculture sector here, especially in bringing technology for processing our products. Now most of our agricultural products are exported informally to neighboring countries.
Yes.
Because there's a lack of processing factories. And then processing also should go somewhere, as we are a small economy. And foreigners can have better linkages to export markets. And now I think government have seen that, and they, as a result, our government has granted a lot of land under the name of economic land concession, which we talk about. But I see that the best way is the coexistence between foreign firms and small farms. So foreign firms need certain a minimum size of land in order to secure supply for their processing factory. Otherwise, their processing factory may not have products or raw materials to work on. But at the same time, our small farmers can coexist. In the case of cassava and rubber, yes, the companies have the farm, but they need labor from local households. And local households, there, if they only provide unskilled labor, I bet they will not be better off. If they have also 1 or 2 hectares of farm growing the same crop, that I'm sure will lift them out of poverty and also will make them prosper. They will have enough savings to send their kids to school, even far to Phnom Penh and attend universities. We have seen many examples like this. So the best way, again, is to promote the coexistence between foreign direct investment in the land sector, in the agriculture sector, and the farmers there. There's no need to buy them out, giving them little money for them to relocate and get their land, although it's not, they don't have formal titles, but some of them have been living there for many years. And I think it's a win-win.
It's a win-win
for both the foreign firms and local villagers.
That's why, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our show. But the main message I got from our discussion is that agriculture have huge potential to lift Cambodia, from out of poverty. But it does require a lot of concerted action among all the stakeholders. Good government policy is very important. The role of FDI is very important. Role of private sector to get into the value chain is important. But foremost, if we are talking about poverty reduction, we have to make sure that we bring the poor community in the form of farming association, farming contract, and empowering them to be part of the value chain. That's what I hear from you. So in this context, the role of private sector, whether national private sector or international private sector, is crucial to bring the production, which is at the raw capacity, raw level, into a sort of semi processes before it can go to a third country market where we can fetch higher value for that. And I think the good thing about in the region now is that our region is dynamic. Is driven by a high growth giant economy like China. ASEAN is doing good. So in this sense, Cambodia should not miss this opportunity to become a center of agricultural production, but with the right model, with the right business model, where the poor will always be brought into the picture. So in this context, I'm quite thankful that you take the time to come and share with us your perspective, your Cambodian perspective into this Cambodian issue. And I hope to be able to have other Cambodians to come and share with us this sort of real life, real experience, real feeling, real passion for the development of our country, Cambodia. So on that note, I want to say thank you, and we're coming to the end of the program. So Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we have to close our program. And I hope to see you again next week. Good night.